Hello students, it's good to have the discussion about active and passive voice like what you see on the screen right now. In here, this video, talk about verbs and voices, active voice and example, passive voice and examples, the reasons to use active voice, when to use passive voice, the form of passive voice verbs. Verbs and voice. Voice is the form of verb takes to indicate whether the subject of the verb performs or receives the action. There are two types of voice: active voice and passive voice. Active voice to indicate the subject of the verb is acting or doing the action, because the subject does or the actor of the action the verb in the sentence. So the sentences are said to be active voice. I'm loving it. It is active voice. It is being loved by me, the similar meaning, but active voice is the choice for McDonald's. The examples to show the subject is doing the action in the sentence. Right, the dog jumped onto the boy. The dog is the subject. It's doing the action of jumping. Christy will give a book report to the class. So Christy is the subject. It's doing the action of giving the computer ate my paper. So the computer is the subject. The subject is doing the action of eating as the verb. The passive voice. In the passive voice sentence, the subject and the object flip-flop. The subject becomes the passive recipient of the action. The subject is doing the action, it is in active, but in passive, the subject is being acted upon, or the subject is receiving the action. Because the subject is being acted upon or is passive, such sentences are said to be in the passive voice. Example: the boy was jumped on by the dog. Boy is the subject, who was being jumped on is the verb. Like a book report will be given by Christy to the class. So report will be given, it is the subject is report, and the verb is will be given. My paper was eaten by the computer. The paper is the subject, was being eaten is the verb. The reasons to use active voice. Most writers prefer to use active voice because it is more direct. The writer, the waiter, dropped the tray of food. It is active, it is direct. The tray of food was dropped by the waiter, it is not direct. When you think of direct expressions, active voice is the choice. The active voice is less awkward. The active voice is clear. Can state the relationship between the subject and the action or the predicate of the sentence. See the comparison like passive and active. Your request for funding has been denied by the review committee. The review committee denied your request for funding. Active, and here is passive. The active voice sentence pattern propels the reader forward through your writing, so avoid weak purpose. So the meaning will be stronger with active voice. When to use passive voice? In general, passive voice is less direct, less forceful, and less conscious than the active voice. Use the passive voice in the following situations, like you do not want to show the performer of the action. Use the passive voice when you want to emphasize the receiver of the action. Example, my bicycle was repainted by John. It is awkward to say. My bicycle was repainted. It is deliberate, passive. The performer is not mentioned, and the basic focus of the sentence is on the bicycle, not the performer. The form of passive voice verbs. Passive voice requires or need a double verb. One is be, and the second one is past participle, usually ending with en, ed, or t. It is another form of the past participle. John baked the bread, and the bread was baked by John. Was is a form of verb be, and bake is the past participle. Writers should be familiar with the forms of to be, because some say to be is linking verbs, so they can easily identify the passive voice in their work. Forms of to be like am, is, are, was, were, be, being, and been. Here the tenses, the sentence in the active voice and in passive voice. Like salad into is solid, selling is being solid until having, solid into having been solid, selling being solid to have, solid to have been solid. Here is the form of the tenses or the form of the grammatical structure. Often passive voice sentences will contain by phrase indicating who or what performed the action. Passive sentences can be easily transformed into active sentences by the object of the preposition by, when by is moved to the subject position in the sentence. The Earth Day is celebrated on April 22nd. Yeah, lots of trees were planted yesterday. So here there's no by. In the passive, like the cookies were eaten by the children ate the cookies. The tunnels are dug by the gobbers dug the tunnels in active sentence. In passive sentences, the subject of the sentence is not the doer of the verb, not the agent. Normally, the agent is not included in a passive sentence because it is not important, or the agent or the subject is obvious. Everyone knows who the agent is. Someone stole my purse. It's active. My purse was stolen in passive. Someone is not mentioned anymore. I think that's all about this explanation. Thank you for your attention. Hopefully it is necessary to help you, and have a good day. See you. Bye bye.